The Frequency War, how one invention won every battle and lost the war. Welcome back to Untold Vietnam Chronicles, where we uncover the most incredible technological secrets that shaped the Vietnam conflict in ways the public was never meant to discover. Tonight, we're exploring the story of a single invention that provided America with unprecedented intelligence advantages, only to become the very weapon that ensured their ultimate defeat. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button for more shocking revelations about the hidden technology wars that determine the course of modern conflicts. Like this video if you want to discover how a Korean-American scientist's revolutionary communication device gave American forces godlike intelligence capabilities and why that same technology became their greatest vulnerability when it fell into enemy hands. And let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I love connecting with our global community of technology truth seekers. Now prepare yourself for the ultimate technological irony, because tonight we're exploring the classified case of Dr. Sarah Kim and her invention that was so powerful it changed the fundamental nature of intelligence warfare, and so dangerous that it ultimately guaranteed American defeat in Vietnam. Chapter 1: The Genius Behind the Revolution. Dr. Sarah Kim was born in 1923 in Seoul, Korea, to a family that had been involved in telecommunications technology since the early days of radio. Her father, Kim Jong-soo, had been one of the first Korean engineers to work with Japanese telecommunication systems during the occupation period, and he passed his technical knowledge to his daughter, along with a deep understanding of the strategic importance of communications technology. Kim's family emigrated to the United States in 1951, following the Korean War, where her father's technical expertise was welcomed by American telecommunications companies struggling to understand Asian communication systems and technologies. Sarah Kim grew up in a household where technical discussions about radio frequencies, signal processing, and communication theory were daily conversation. By age 16, Kim was demonstrating mathematical abilities that exceeded most university students. She completed her undergraduate degree in electrical engineering at MIT in 3 years, followed by a doctorate in applied physics that focused on electromagnetic wave propagation and signal processing theory. Kim's doctoral research centered on what she termed universal frequency resonance, the theoretical possibility that all electronic communication devices might share fundamental frequency characteristics that could be exploited for signal interception and analysis. Her theoretical work suggested that every radio, telephone, and electronic communication device created electromagnetic signatures that could be detected, analyzed, and potentially intercepted from significant distances using the right combination of receiver technology and signal processing algorithms. The implications were staggering. If Kim's theories were correct, it might be possible to create a device that could intercept any electronic communication anywhere in the world, regardless of encryption, frequency, or transmission method. In 1962, Kim was recruited by the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, DARPA, to work on classified communications projects related to the emerging conflict in Southeast Asia. Her assignment was to develop technologies that could provide American forces with communication advantages over enemy forces who were using increasingly sophisticated Soviet and Chinese communication equipment. Chapter 2: The Universal Interceptor. Kim's breakthrough came in 1964 when she successfully created a prototype device that could intercept and decode virtually any electronic communication within a 50-mile radius. The device, which she codenamed Pandora, used principles of quantum resonance and electromagnetic field analysis to identify and decode communication signals regardless of their frequency, encryption, or transmission method. Pandora worked by detecting the fundamental electromagnetic patterns that were created by any electronic device when it transmitted information. These patterns were unique to each device but followed mathematical principles that Kim had discovered through her research into universal frequency resonance. The device could distinguish between different types of communication equipment, identify specific radio sets and telephone systems, and even determine the physical location of transmitting devices with precision that approached GPS accuracy decades before GPS technology existed. But Pandora's most remarkable capability was its ability to decode encrypted communications without knowing the encryption key or method. Kim's system analyzed the mathematical patterns underlying encrypted signals and used quantum processing techniques to reverse engineer the original message content. Initial testing of Pandora exceeded all expectations. The device successfully intercepted and decoded North Vietnamese military communications, Chinese diplomatic messages, and Soviet technical communications that had been considered completely secure by their users. DARPA officials realized they possessed a technology that could revolutionize intelligence gathering and provide unprecedented advantages in any conflict involving electronic communications. Pandora could essentially make enemy communications transparent to American intelligence while maintaining complete secrecy about its capabilities. Kim was assigned to lead a team of engineers and technicians in developing operational versions of Pandora for deployment in Vietnam. The project was classified at the highest levels and operated under the codename Project Frequency. Chapter 3: The Intelligence Revolution. The first operational Pandora units were deployed to Vietnam in early 1966, where they immediately began providing intelligence that exceeded anything previously available to American military commanders. The devices could intercept North Vietnamese communications in real time, providing advance warning of attacks, detailed information about enemy capabilities, and strategic intelligence about long-term planning. Colonel James Morrison was assigned as the military liaison for Project Frequency operations in Vietnam. Morrison's background in military intelligence and electronic warfare made him uniquely qualified to integrate Pandora's capabilities with existing intelligence operations. Morrison's team established monitoring stations throughout South Vietnam that provided comprehensive coverage of North Vietnamese communications networks. These stations operated in complete secrecy, appearing to be conventional radar or communications installations while actually serving as Pandora monitoring posts. The intelligence provided by Pandora was so detailed and comprehensive that it initially overwhelmed American analysis capabilities. The system intercepted thousands of communications daily, providing information about everything from tactical troop movements to strategic political discussions in Hanoi. Major battles during 1966 were influenced by Pandora intelligence that allowed American forces to anticipate enemy actions, identify target priorities, and coordinate responses with precision that seemed almost supernatural to North Vietnamese commanders. The Battle of Ia Drang was significantly influenced by Pandora intercepts that provided detailed information about North Vietnamese tactical plans, allowing American forces to position themselves optimally while preparing countermeasures for every enemy strategy. Operation Junction City's success was largely attributable to Pandora intelligence that identified enemy communications networks, supply routes, and command structures that allowed American forces to disrupt North Vietnamese operations at fundamental levels. By 1967, Pandora had become so central to American military operations that strategic planning was essentially impossible without its intelligence input. The technology had created a dependency that made American forces extraordinarily effective, but also vulnerable to any disruption of their intelligence advantage. Chapter 4, The Perfect Weapon, Kim's continued development of Pandora technology created increasingly sophisticated capabilities that exceeded the original device's already remarkable performance. Second-generation Pandora units could intercept communications at ranges exceeding 200 miles, while providing analysis of communication patterns that revealed enemy organizational structures and decision-making processes. The enhanced Pandora systems included artificial intelligence components that could analyze intercepted communications for strategic significance, automatically prioritize intelligence based on tactical importance, and even predict enemy actions based on communication patterns and historical analysis. Dr. Kim developed what she called communication archaeology, the ability to analyze past communication patterns to reconstruct enemy activities, organizational changes, and strategic planning that had occurred weeks or months earlier. This capability allowed American intelligence to understand enemy development patterns and anticipate future strategic directions. But perhaps most remarkably, Kim discovered that Pandora could be used not just to intercept communications, but to actively manipulate enemy communication systems. By broadcasting precisely calibrated electromagnetic signals, Pandora could disrupt enemy radio equipment, introduce false information into enemy communication networks, and even control enemy electronic devices remotely. This capability turned Pandora from a passive intelligence-gathering system into an active weapon that could disrupt enemy operations through electronic warfare techniques that exceeded anything available to conventional military technology. American forces began using Pandora's manipulation capabilities to create false intelligence in enemy communication networks, disrupt enemy coordination during critical operations, and even cause enemy electronic equipment to malfunction at strategically important moments. The psychological impact on North Vietnamese forces was devastating. Their communications became unreliable, their equipment failed unpredictably, and their intelligence networks were compromised in ways they couldn't understand or counter. Chapter 5, The Overconfidence Trap. Pandora's extraordinary success created a fundamental transformation in American military thinking that proved to be strategically catastrophic. American commanders became so dependent on Pandora intelligence that they gradually abandoned conventional intelligence-gathering methods and tactical flexibility. The technology provided such comprehensive intelligence that American forces began operating under the assumption that they possessed complete knowledge of enemy capabilities and intentions. This assumption led to tactical overconfidence that made American forces vulnerable to tactics and strategies that fell outside Pandora's analysis capabilities. Dr. Kim warned repeatedly that Pandora's effectiveness was based on intercepting electronic communications, but that enemy forces might develop operational methods that didn't rely on electronic communication. Her warnings were dismissed by military commanders who had become convinced that modern warfare was impossible without electronic communications. Kim also identified theoretical vulnerabilities in Pandora technology that could be exploited by enemies who understood the system's operating principles. She recommended developing countermeasures and backup intelligence methods, but these recommendations were rejected due to budget constraints and overconfidence in Pandora's capabilities. The psychological effects of Pandora dependency were particularly dangerous for field commanders who began making tactical decisions based on the assumption that they possessed perfect intelligence. This overconfidence led to risky operations that relied on intelligence advantages rather than tactical flexibility and adaptive response capabilities. American intelligence analysis became increasingly automated and dependent on Pandora's artificial intelligence components. Human analysts were relegated to secondary roles, and institutional knowledge about conventional intelligence gathering methods began to deteriorate. By late 1967, American military operations in Vietnam were essentially dependent on a single technology system that provided unprecedented advantages while creating unprecedented vulnerabilities. Chapter 6, The Security Breach. The catastrophic security failure that destroyed American technological superiority began with a North Vietnamese intelligence operation that most American officials never fully understood. In November 1967, a sophisticated infiltration network managed to place an agent within the Pandora program who had access to technical specifications and operational procedures. The agent, later identified as Dr. Jen Van Duke, was a Vietnamese electronics engineer who had been educated in France and had been recruited by North Vietnamese intelligence specifically to penetrate American technological programs. Duke's background and qualifications made him an ideal candidate for positions within classified American research programs. Duke's penetration of Project Frequency provided North Vietnamese intelligence with detailed information about Pandora's capabilities, operating principles, and technical vulnerabilities. This intelligence was immediately shared with Soviet and Chinese technical specialists who began developing countermeasures and exploitation techniques. But Duke's most valuable contribution was his access to Dr. Kim's research files, which included not only technical specifications for existing Pandora units but also theoretical research into advanced capabilities that hadn't yet been operationally deployed. Soviet engineers used Kim's research to develop their own version of Pandora technology while simultaneously creating countermeasures designed to neutralize American systems. The Soviet program was accelerated by their access to Kim's theoretical work, allowing them to avoid years of research and development that had been necessary for the original American program. Chinese technical specialists focused on developing jamming and deception technologies that could disrupt Pandora operations while remaining undetectable to American operators. These countermeasures were designed to gradually degrade Pandora effectiveness without revealing that the system had been compromised. Most catastrophically, North Vietnamese forces began receiving Soviet and Chinese technical support that allowed them to exploit Pandora's vulnerabilities while developing communication methods that were immune to interception. Chapter 7, The Tables Turn. By mid-1968, North Vietnamese forces had deployed Soviet-developed jamming equipment that could disrupt Pandora operations while appearing to be natural electromagnetic interference. American operators noticed degraded performance but attributed it to equipment aging and environmental factors rather than deliberate enemy action. More sophisticated were Chinese-developed deception systems that could feed false information into Pandora networks without being detected by American analysis systems. These deceptions were calibrated to provide plausible but incorrect intelligence that would lead American forces into tactical traps. The most devastating development was the deployment of Soviet-built communication systems that were completely immune to Pandora interception. These systems used quantum encryption techniques and frequency hopping methods that exceeded Pandora's analysis capabilities, creating secure communication networks for North Vietnamese forces. But the ultimate reversal came when North Vietnamese forces began deploying their own version of Pandora technology, developed using specifications obtained through Duke's espionage operation. These systems allowed North Vietnamese intelligence to intercept American communications with the same effectiveness that Americans had previously enjoyed against enemy forces. The intelligence advantage that had made American forces dominant in Vietnam was not just neutralized, it was completely reversed. North Vietnamese forces gained comprehensive intelligence about American operations while American forces lost their intelligence superiority. The psychological impact was immediate and devastating. American commanders who had become dependent on perfect intelligence found themselves operating blind while facing enemies who possessed detailed knowledge of American plans and capabilities. Operations that had been planned assuming intelligence superiority became disasters as North Vietnamese forces anticipated and countered every American tactic. The tactical advantages that had characterized American operations since 1966 disappeared virtually overnight. Chapter 8, The Tet Intelligence Disaster. The Tet Offensive of January 1968 demonstrated the complete reversal of intelligence advantages that had occurred through the compromise of Pandora technology. North Vietnamese forces used their captured Pandora systems to monitor American communications while coordinating attacks that achieved complete tactical surprise. American intelligence, still dependent on compromised Pandora systems, failed to detect the massive preparation for coordinated attacks throughout South Vietnam. The intelligence that American forces received through Pandora was deliberately deceptive, designed to misdirect American attention away from actual North Vietnamese preparations. Dr. Kim's analysis of intelligence failures during Tet revealed that American forces had been operating with intelligence that was not just incorrect, it had been systematically manipulated by enemy forces who understood Pandora's vulnerabilities and operational methods. The realization that Pandora had been compromised created a crisis that extended beyond immediate tactical concerns to fundamental questions about American technological security and intelligence operations. Colonel Morrison's investigation into the intelligence failures revealed the extent of North Vietnamese penetration of American technical programs and the sophisticated methods they had used to exploit and reverse American technological advantages. But the damage extended beyond immediate tactical defeats to long-term strategic disadvantages. North Vietnamese forces now possessed communication technologies that exceeded American capabilities, while American forces had lost the intelligence superiority that had been central to their operational strategy. The psychological impact on American forces was devastating. Units that had operated with confidence based on superior intelligence found themselves constantly surprised by enemy actions they couldn't anticipate or understand. Chapter 9, The Desperate Countermeasures. American response to the Pandora Compromise involved desperate attempts to regain technological superiority through development of next-generation systems that could counter enemy capabilities. Dr. Kim was assigned to lead a crash program to develop Pandora countermeasures and enhanced systems. Kim's analysis revealed that the technological competition had entered a new phase where each side's advantages could be quickly neutralized by the other side's countermeasures. The rapid pace of technological development meant that advantages were temporary and required constant innovation to maintain. The development of Pandora Plus systems attempted to restore American intelligence superiority through quantum encryption, frequency agile transmission methods, and artificial intelligence systems that could detect and counter enemy deception attempts. But these enhanced systems were extremely complex, expensive, and required technical support that exceeded what was available in combat conditions. The reliability problems and technical complexity made them unsuitable for widespread deployment. Meanwhile, Soviet and Chinese technical support allowed North Vietnamese forces to continue advancing their own capabilities, creating a technological arms race that favored the side with more resources for research and development. American forces found themselves in the impossible position of fighting enemies who possessed technological capabilities that exceeded their own, while lacking the industrial capacity and technical expertise necessary to regain superiority. The strategic implications extended beyond Vietnam to global Cold War competition, as Soviet technological capabilities had been demonstrated to exceed American systems in critical areas. Chapter 10, The Industrial Espionage Network. Investigation into the Pandora Compromise revealed a sophisticated industrial espionage network that had been operating within American defense industries for years, systematically acquiring technological secrets and transferring them to Soviet and Chinese intelligence services. Dr. Duck's operation was part of a broader intelligence network that included agents within major defense contractors, government research facilities, and military technology programs. The network had been specifically designed to acquire information about advanced American military technologies. The espionage operation had been so sophisticated that it included agents who had been placed within American institutions years before the technologies they were assigned to steal had been developed. This long-term planning suggested that foreign intelligence services understood American technological development patterns better than American security services did. Kim's security analysis revealed that foreign intelligence services had been systematically targeting American technological advantages across multiple military programs, suggesting that the Pandora Compromise was part of a broader strategy to neutralize American technological superiority. The investigation also revealed that American security procedures were inadequate for protecting advanced technologies from sophisticated foreign intelligence operations. The compartmentalization and secrecy that were supposed to protect classified programs had actually made them more vulnerable to penetration by agents who could exploit institutional trust and limited oversight. Most disturbing was the discovery that foreign intelligence services possessed detailed information about American technological capabilities that exceeded what was available to American intelligence services. Enemy forces understood American strengths and weaknesses better than Americans understood their own systems. The revelation created a crisis of confidence in American technological security that extended far beyond military applications to civilian technology development and industrial competitiveness. Chapter 11, The Strategic Reversal. By 1970, the technological balance in Vietnam had shifted completely in favor of North Vietnamese forces, who possessed communication and intelligence capabilities that exceeded American systems while maintaining operational security that protected them from American technological advantages. American military operations became increasingly ineffective as North Vietnamese forces consistently anticipated and countered American tactics through superior intelligence. The technological advantages that had made American forces dominant had been neutralized and reversed. Dr. Kim's analysis of the strategic situation concluded that continued American operations in Vietnam were strategically unsustainable as long as enemy forces maintained technological superiority in intelligence and communication systems. The broader implications extended to global strategic balance, as the demonstration of Soviet technological capabilities in Vietnam influenced strategic planning for potential conflicts in Europe and other regions where technological advantages were crucial for military effectiveness. American industrial and technological leadership was called into question by the speed with which Soviet and Chinese forces had not only matched but exceeded American capabilities in critical military technologies. The psychological impact on American political and military leadership was devastating, as the technological superiority that had been fundamental to American strategic thinking since World War II was revealed to be more fragile than anyone had imagined. The Vietnam conflict had become a demonstration that American technological advantages could be quickly neutralized by sophisticated foreign intelligence operations and rapid technological development by adversary nations. Chapter 12, The Ultimate Irony. Dr. Kim's final report on the Pandora project, completed in 1973, concluded that her invention had ultimately contributed to American defeat in Vietnam by creating technological dependencies that made American forces vulnerable to technological countermeasures and intelligence manipulation. The technology that had provided unprecedented intelligence advantages had also created unprecedented vulnerabilities that enemy forces exploited to gain decisive strategic advantages. Kim's invention had won every battle for American forces until it lost the war. The broader lesson was that technological superiority in modern warfare was temporary and fragile, requiring constant innovation and comprehensive security to maintain. The assumption that technological advantages were permanent had proven to be strategically catastrophic. Kim's analysis also revealed that the rapid pace of modern technological development meant that today's advantages could become tomorrow's vulnerabilities if proper security measures weren't maintained, and if potential countermeasures weren't anticipated. The espionage operation that compromised Pandora technology demonstrated that technological secrets were more vulnerable than physical military assets to foreign intelligence operations, and that protecting technological advantages required security measures that exceeded what was necessary for conventional military operations. Most ironically, Kim's invention had succeeded too well, creating overconfidence that led to strategic complacency and security failures that enabled the very defeat that the technology was supposed to prevent. Epilogue: The legacy of technological hubris. The Pandora project remains one of the most classified technological programs in American military history, but its lessons continue to influence strategic planning and technological development for modern conflicts. Dr. Kim's experience demonstrated that individual technological breakthroughs could provide decisive military advantages while creating strategic vulnerabilities that exceeded their tactical benefits. Her invention proved that in modern warfare, technological superiority was both more important and more fragile than traditional strategic thinking acknowledged. The rapid technological development during the Vietnam conflict established patterns for modern technological warfare where advantages are temporary, countermeasures are rapidly developed, and security is more important than capability for maintaining strategic effectiveness. Modern military technology development includes comprehensive security measures and countermeasure planning that were absent during the Pandora program, but the fundamental challenges of protecting technological advantages remain as difficult today as they were during the Vietnam conflict. The espionage networks that compromised American technological superiority in Vietnam established methods and penetration techniques that continue to threaten American technological leadership in civilian and military applications. Dr. Kim's legacy includes both the demonstration that individual innovations could revolutionize warfare and the warning that technological hubris could lead to strategic defeat when security and strategic thinking failed to match technological capability. The frequency war proved that in modern conflicts, the most powerful weapons might be technologies that enemies could capture, reverse engineer, and use against their creators with even greater effectiveness than the original developers achieved. Today, as military forces around the world compete for technological advantages in artificial intelligence, quantum computing, and autonomous systems, the lessons of the Pandora project remain relevant for understanding both the promise and the peril of technological superiority in warfare. Dr. Sarah Kim created a technology that could intercept any communication anywhere in the world, only to discover that the same capability could be used against its creators with devastating effectiveness. Her invention won every battle until it lost the war, proving that technological genius without strategic wisdom and comprehensive security could be more dangerous than technological inferiority. The ultimate irony of the frequency war was that the most advanced communication technology ever created ultimately made communication impossible for the forces that created it. In the end, Dr. Kim's masterpiece became her nation's greatest vulnerability, demonstrating that in technological warfare, today's ultimate weapon might become tomorrow's ultimate weakness. The frequencies that revealed every enemy secret eventually carried the signals of defeat.